A few weeks ago, we heard Reverend Allison tell us about how we need to live wholehearted lives. It was a message that I certainly needed to hear, and I hope you all appreciated as well. It comes down to the connections with others, how we keep covenant. Connection is why we are here. It's the thing that gives us meaning. It's how our brains are wired, and it's how we heal. Covenant is how we maintain our relationship with God and with our neighbor. When I realized I was preaching on the transfiguration of Jesus, I'll admit I was a little intimidated that I was going to have to explain to all of you how Jesus could be fully human and fully God. It's not that easy. 3 years seminary, and yeah, I'm still not that much better. But then I realized what Jesus was actually doing here. Jesus was being vulnerable. Thankfully, listening to Allison's sermon also gave me some resources for this one. The Greek word for transfiguration is metamorphosis, which directly means to change forms. When we are most vulnerable like Jesus, we transform. In her book, the title of which I've used as the title of this sermon, Daring Greatly, Brene Brown consolidates a lifetime of research on shame and vulnerability. She, however, takes the phrase from a speech, Citizenship on a Republic, which was given by Theodore Roosevelt at the Sorbonne on April 13, 1910. She opens her book with his words. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if they fail, at least fails while daring greatly. Vulnerability is strength, my beloved. Today, Jesus goes on a hike. I don't know if any of you like hiking. What about hiking with your best friends? We had a few beautiful days this week, and I took the opportunity to take a walk with my best friend, my dog, and enjoy the fresh air and see life come back to the landscape and gently soak up the sun's rays. This week, we hear the story of Jesus bringing his friends on a hike up a high mountain. His friends that have been with him the longest, since he called them away from their fish nets. After traveling throughout Galilee and performing miracles and preaching, Jesus is probably a little tired. He needs a day off to hang out with his friends. We all need a day off sometimes. I mean, even God rested on the seventh day. But Jesus is only human, and now he thinks it's finally time he can be vulnerable enough to those he loves to show them he's actually fully divine. And just like Jesus, we need to be able to be vulnerable with those who love us in order to transform. When we are tired from trying to forge justice in the world around us, and we need a good group of friends that can help us heal. When we are broken from the pain we see every day, we need to be vulnerable. To find joy and meaning, we need to dare greatly. An organization started in 2010 by a few West Point graduates set out to make that happen. Recognizing the gap between our military, our veterans, and our civilian population, they created Team Red, White, and Blue to make a bridge between these communities. Their mission was to connect civilians and veterans to enrich their lives by connecting them to a community through physical and social activity. Healing through hiking up mountains with friends. It sounds familiar. They are creating genuine, quality, supportive relationships that generate mutual trust and accountability, which gives a sense of belonging, purpose, and community engagement, which is kind of also exactly what we do here at Saugatuck. But the only way these connections are made are when these civilians and veterans are honest and vulnerable with each other to bring their authentic selves to the table. Imagine having to tell somebody about the time you watched your friends die. Imagine having to tell somebody about the time you killed somebody. Imagine having to tell your mother's friend they didn't make it. Imagine saying I love you to someone and not knowing the answer. Imagine telling your friends you're getting a divorce. Imagine giving a sermon in front of people you love. Imagine telling your friends that you just took on a hike that you're God. Just before Jesus brings his best friends on a hike, he tells them that he's going to have to be humiliated, tortured, and he's going to have to suffer and die. Slowly, he's beginning to trust the apostles enough that they are ready to hear how hard what's about to come is going to be. One of his friends, Peter, his best friend, took him aside after hearing this and pleaded with Jesus. "This must never happen," he protested. Peter was focused on keeping his friend safe, rather than allowing him to be vulnerable enough to grow into the Jesus Christ we know today. Rather than truly listening to what Jesus was saying, Peter had his own ideas. We all do this. Instead of listening and truly caring, we only listen to give advice. We listen to what we want to hear instead of what the other person is trying to tell us or is revealing to us. Every opportunity to listen is an opportunity for healing. Every opportunity for connection is an opportunity for transformation. Jesus is right to be wary of showing his friends the truth of his mission and his divinity. When he transfigures in front of them, they hear a voice from heaven proclaiming, "This is my son, with him I am well pleased. Listen to him." And they immediately fell to the ground, overcome with fear. But Jesus, like a good friend, touched them and told them to not be afraid. On their way back home from the hike, Jesus asked them not to tell anyone about what they saw there. He still feels shame and guilt for what he just showed his friends. When Jesus is vulnerable and shows his true nature, it's so powerful that both Moses and Elijah appear before them. And Peter is so excited that Jesus is sharing so much of himself that he offers any hospitality he can imagine. In this case, building a tent or tabernacles for shelter to accommodate his friend. When we are honest with those that we love and show them who we truly are, we're usually surprised to find the hospitality and understanding we get in return. Surely Peter had no idea what was going on. He just knew that his friend was being vulnerable. And he did anything he could to make him comfortable and welcome. He meets Jesus with a fear that makes sense. When our loved ones see who we really are, we can make them worried or scared. In life, it's hard to accept that we don't understand something. This opens us up to criticism and shame that we don't want to feel. It could have been really easy for Jesus' friends to just run away when he showed them who he was. But instead, they stayed and showed him love and support he needed to go to the cross for us. It's sometimes hard for us to be honest and vulnerable with those that we love the most. To show them who we are. To tell them our dreams, our pains, our worries. For some reason, we tie up our value with how other people view us, and that can sometimes hurt. When Jesus gets to the top of the mountain, he transfigures in front of them, and his face shone like the sun. When we are most vulnerable to the people we love, our true selves shine through. The shame of how people will accept us or who we are is the sin that prevents us from having an authentic relationship with God and with our neighbor. So when we're tired and broken from the trauma of the world, remember, it's the connection with people in our community that heals us and fills us. So next time if your friend asks you to go for a hike, maybe you should go. Because if we are vulnerable and dare greatly, with those we love, we are transformed. So don't be afraid, my beloved, to be vulnerable. Amen.